Hi everyone. This is an impromptu video because I released on Wednesday, the day I'm recording this, I uploaded a video about how my mental health and physical health affect my life. What I thought I'd do is do what I'm going to call the Depression Chronicles or the Mental Health Chronicles. I don't know yet. I'll think of that when I'm actually posting this. But something has happened today which goes to show how my mental health is affected. And it's a physical health problem. I am due on the 4th of April to have an operation for a hernia. The operation has already been cancelled twice. The first time was I had to cancel it because I had a rectal problem. It was a perianal abscess and it started producing pus again a couple of days before the operation was due, and I had to cancel it because you can't have an operation that close to where you've got an abscess. So I had to have that cancelled. On the 18th of last month, I had a pre-op for an operation I was supposed to have on the 22nd. It was a Saturday, and they've opened up surgeries on non-emergency surgeries on a Saturday. But at the end of the pre-assessment on the 18th of last month, I was told, nah, can't have it. There's too much wrong with you. I have long COVID, I have high cortisol levels, I have diabetes. Too much stuff could go wrong. So they don't have enough staff to cope with an emergency should anything go wrong. So it had to be cancelled. So on the 4th of April, which is my new date, I've got an operation that I badly need because I've got a lump the size of a grapefruit in my groin where the hernia is popping out. It is painful, it gets in the way, and I need it gone. It's bad because about 2 weeks before Christmas 2024, I was in A&E with a suspected strangulated hernia. Turned out it wasn't, but the emergency GP thought it might be, so he said, if you get any more pain, straight to A&E. And I was there for hours. And I had to stand up because I couldn't sit down because it would hurt sitting down. I had to stand up and walk around, despite the fact I kept on asking, is there somewhere I can go and lay down? I was quite willing to lay on the floor so long as sectioned off a section of floor that I could lay down on so I'm not stepped on. So about 10 hours I was standing, walking in agony, only to be sent home because it wasn't a strangulated hernia. Now, the reason I give you all this background is because this morning I woke up with that feeling in my nose, the peppery sensation I call it. It's like I've snorted pepper. That's the indication I'm about to have a cold. I also had at least one of my nostrils was completely blocked, the other was partially blocked. Since I had COVID and continue to have long COVID, I have trouble shaking off any kind of cold or chest infection, anything like that, because there is still microscopic damage done to my lungs, and I have trouble breathing sometimes, so it affects me ongoing. So now I am scared, and this is where the mental health comes in. I am petrified that I am not going to be able to shake this cold quick enough to be able to have my operation. And as you will see, if you saw my video that I brought out on Wednesday about how my mental health affects me, depression causes you to look at the dark side of things. You catastrophize. And this morning I was triggered into, oh my God, I'm going to have to cancel the bloody surgery again. The first time wasn't my fault, but I had to cancel. The second time wasn't my fault, wasn't the hospital's fault either. It's just my health is such that I cannot be seen on a non-emergency Saturday, just in case something goes wrong because of long COVID and everything else that's wrong with me. So immediately I am petrified that I'm gonna end up having to cancel the operation again, have to go through the pre-assessment again, have to go through another waiting list, waiting for the operation. And that is the immediate first thing, the immediate first thought I had when I woke up. And I've been worried about it all day. And I am still worried about it right now. And that is how mental ill health, depression, anxiety, this is what it does. You are your own worst enemy, because your brain immediately turns on you. It turns what could be something relatively small, like, starting to feel a cold coming on, and it's immediately, that is going to stop me having my operation in a couple of weeks' time. That is how things work with a depressed person's mind. Some people, high functioners, can get on with life. But if you've had enough experiences that reinforce the catastrophization that has always been part of your makeup, part of your depression, then it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And like the side effects multiplying on, if you take multiple medications that have the same side effect, like drowsiness. If you have one that causes drowsiness and you have another one that causes drowsiness, the second one multiplies the effect of the first. And I've got, as I say in the video I brought out on Wednesday, I have got about 4 medications that make me drowsy, on top of depression that makes me drowsy, and long COVID, which has given me chronic fatigue. And so I didn't even wake up really with a deeply depressed mood. I am always unhappy, but it wasn't any worse than an ordinary day. But because of my physical health and it triggering a catastrophization and the doomsayer part in my brain, I am now a emotional wreck and will be until I know whether this is a cold or if it is a cold, if I will get rid of it in time to have my operation, or I will have to have it cancelled again. If I have to have it cancelled again, that's a whole new ball game, because that's more stress. But I just thought you might be interested in how depression can be affected or can affect your life beyond just the depression. Catastrophization is not necessarily a symptom, a recognised symptom in the textbooks, but it's what happens. And you tend to look at the dark, you tend to look on the very negative side of any situation. Makes us brilliant if you want someone to do a risk assessment, because if something can go wrong, we'll know it, because that's us. People with depression would make brilliant risk assessors. But then we'd still be fretting over whether we've got everyone, or have we forgotten something? Have we missed something? Some people can deal with depression, especially if it's just a short run and you kind of get over it. Some people like me, where it seems to be drug resistant, and I have trouble with group therapy. I have had group therapy. The first one was mildly successful. The second one was worse. It worsened my condition. And the third one just wasn't long enough because of the cuts to the mental health psychotherapy team in my local area. But I'm better on a one-to-one basis. And I have been on the waiting list for over a decade now to get one-to-one. Or I assume I have been asking for a decade to be put on it. Whether they actually ever did put me on a waiting list, I don't know. Again, this is a problem with mental health trusts. I don't know the whys and wherefores of how they do their referrals, and whether they accept someone's assertion that they're no good with a group, but I am not. So I am stuck being depressed. I have been depressed for almost 47 years. And to answer the question in a roundabout way of someone who keeps saying you must be almost pension age by now, no, I'm bloody not. I'm 54. And the way this government is going, I won't make it to whatever the pension age is when they decide to yank it up a few more years. So I've had depression for more of my life than I care to imagine. I do not even remember being happy. I've always been depressed. I have worked with my depression, but it was my last job that absolutely destroyed my mental health. And just as I was getting back to the point where I could start looking for work again, another catastrophe happens, and it was a catastrophe my divorce started picking up steam. I lost the voluntary work I was doing, and my benefits were completely cut for several months because of a DWP error. It wasn't even my fault, it was their fault. So all this stuff has led me to a point where I can now not handle situations that I may have handled before. And like I said, just this one thing this morning, the thought that I might have a cold, has put me in a tailspin of depression and anxiety. And this is the perfect companion to how my mental and physical health affects my life. Video, the one that came out on Wednesday. I'm hoping to put this up on Thursday or Friday. So if you're interested in me continuing this when I have a mental health problem or a crisis, I am quite willing to do videos if you are interested, and I will create a playlist called the Depression Chronicles or the Mental Health Chronicles or whatever, so that there's a continuing showing how this affects me. I'd love to work, I really would. I just can't do it anymore. I cannot take the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune because I've had too many bad experiences. It has soured me to humanity and to everyone and everything. Anyway, if you found this interesting, then why not do me a favour and click the like button. It does help the channel. I am slowly growing an audience, but it's still very small. And maybe if you like this sort of video or any of the other stuff that you find on this channel, then why not, if you haven't already, subscribed and press the notification bell so you know when I'm putting up a new video. It really does help, and as I've said before, I am never going to charge people for any of my videos. If YouTube decides to put adverts through it, that's not me. I do not get paid. I make nothing out of these. These are purely educational or simply me just blowing off steam. And I don't know whether anyone's interested in my point of view, but I think everyone should have some way of blowing off steam, and this is the way I do it. So, like I said, you'll never be charged for any of the videos. I do not make any money from them. So liking, sharing, subscribing and pressing the notification bell so you know when I've got another one coming up is really helpful. And hopefully I'll see you on another video. See you later.